spring arrived, it seemed as if the plague had receded. It was time for me to go home. It's Memorial Day weekend. For the first time in over a year, we are travelers. My partner and our 10-year-old are driving 14 hours across the wide open middle of the country to see my mother, who has spent 2020, this plague year, largely alone. Simultaneously, my sister and her kids are making a nearly identical drive. None of us has seen each other in over a year, but now we'll converge in South Dakota, where I grew up. This place was hit hard by the pandemic and, politically speaking, seems to have fractured deeply. So this film is about two questions. How did the plague hit my hometown? And as people, as a family, who are we now? My family has been in South Dakota a long time. After chancing into a small parcel of land in the Rosebud Indian Reservation, my great-grandfather and mother moved to the state from Illinois in 1909. A few months after they arrived, they were nearly incinerated in a prairie fire. Before long, my great-grandfather, SR everyone called him, started selling life insurance policies, and by 1925 they had settled in Sioux Falls. My grandfather grew up in South Dakota. He became a doctor and started a clinic in Sioux Falls. My mom was born there in the 1940s. She stayed too and became a school teacher. It's where I was born in 1974. It's a lot of history, and we have a lot of stories to tell.
There was one story, though, that I wanted to get before I forget. And tell me how you got the name Jump Over Thunder.
So I maybe once or twice in the summertime to a dance. The Indians would give it, see. And there happened to be this one night, there was two girls there, somebody told me, but just, I don't know if they're graduating, but they're going to college school. Oh, Indian girls, breed girls. They weren't full Indian, make a damn bit of difference. They weren't bad looking girls. Finally some old Indian got out, oh, hey, ho! We danced a little while and stopped us. I thought, no. He comes over, and the two of us, he gets hold of my hand, introduces me. Jump over thunder.
So it was scary, and even early in March, April, May of 2020, I rarely went anywhere. I wake up, I listen to NPR on the radio in my bed for an hour, make coffee, make lunch, maybe check the mail, check calls, take a nap, get up, stretch, do a few things around the house, and then it's late afternoon. Watch Jeopardy, watch the news. That was it. That was the routine. So Thanksgiving, I was here alone. I didn't see anyone. December I was all alone. Christmas.
Sister Barbara McTeague used to teach with my mother. Her ministry consisted of visiting people who were shut in during the pandemic.
I saw people that didn't have family coming around that were very depressed and very sad, and not being able to go to church was really hard on them. So it was really nice to go visit them, and in the beginning we all wore masks, and some people wouldn't even let me come. They were so nervous, but as time went on, then I could visit most of the people. But Still can't go to the nursing home and the hospitals yet to visit. So that's been a hardship for me. Yeah. But I know some people have said, oh, I am so depressed. You know, and God made us to be social people, so it's very, very difficult to have the alienation.
But now, she is about 16 hours away from being reunited with her daughter and grandchildren.
They haven't been here to my home. It'll be 2 years, almost to the day. This is the longest period I've ever gone, ever. Well, we didn't communicate as much. I mean, I could tell, particularly Owen, there was a huge pullback, a huge shift. The one I communicated most frequently with was the youngest, Eva. It's going to be the physical changes, the emotional changes. I don't know. It's going to be, that's a long time. That's a lot. And they're probably going to see changes in me. That's a good question.
Parts of it were really hard, like not getting to see family, not going to school. But you know, it was really stressful. There's a lot of fear about, you know, a lot of people are sick, a lot of people are dying, and you know, not wanting to get sick. Yeah, I was really worried about Mom, especially because I don't trust South Dakota. It didn't seem they were doing anything near what they needed to be doing. And in New Mexico, thankfully, our leadership was very strict from very early on, with everyone having to wear a mask and things being closed down. But I knew that wasn't happening in South Dakota, so I was very worried about her.
Not good. It was not good. They would get a failing grade. Our school district began school like it was a normal year. There was not a mask mandate. Teachers, staff were not vaccinated. I'm just really grateful that I didn't have to live through that. So the school district did not do well. The city did not do well. The state did not do well. For example, when the first big breakout of the virus here was at Smithfield, and it's like the city did nothing. Smithfield handled it poorly. The employees were not given protection. They were not given tested. It was handled very poorly. I believe that was the first big outbreak here.
That's true. If you're not from Sioux Falls and you followed the news at all in the last year, this is probably what you've seen.
The Smithfield Foods plant in Sioux Falls has closed until further notice, all due to COVID-19 concerns. That's our top story at 10. The plant closing its doors Saturday for cleaning after over half of confirmed COVID cases in Minnehaha County were linked to the plant.
Let's talk about, again, what's happening here in Sioux Falls. We know that the numbers are really growing when we talk about cases inside of this plant. 518 employees that have tested positive, but officials are looking at another number as well that they're perhaps even just as equally or even more concerned about, and that's 126 contacts of employees inside. So, to lay the scene for you, to set the scene for you, Chuck, this plant employs, it's the third largest employer here in the area. That means that most of the people here will have some direct contact with somebody inside of that factory.
Our family knows people who work at Smithfield. Estella, originally from South Sudan, has lived in Sioux Falls for nearly 20 years.
So my job in Smithfield, I work in 6th floor. I work inside the cooler. After the meat come, the pig come, before they cut them, they have to go inside the deep shell to freeze. And after that, we have to put it in. It's a very nice job, by the way. To be honest, because me, I'm one of those people, I don't like to watch the news a lot. I didn't have any idea about what they say, just whatever I see inside the company, this is what I know.
You have been lambasted in the press for not stripping your residents of their basic freedoms and their right to work and go to school. But here we are about now 6 months into this pandemic, and South Dakota still has a death rate 11 times lower than New York's per 100,000 people. Amazing.
Yeah. We're doing very well, Laura, and that's really the story that needs to be told, is that I trusted my people. They trusted me. They took personal responsibility for dealing with this virus, and we're doing very well.
Kristi Noem happened to South Dakota. And what you have is somebody who is aspiring to national office, who's trying to raise her national profile, who's trying to raise money so she can run a nationwide campaign, and that the best way to do that is to be outrageous.
Reynold is an economist. He and I used to teach at the same college in Sioux Falls. He is also currently serving as one of only 3 Democrats in the South Dakota state legislature.
And so you can pretty much watch her. Somewhere on Tuesday or Wednesday, she'll send out some tweet that gets all sorts of mileage out of it. By Thursday or Friday, she'll send out an email that goes out to the legislature and to the press. And by Friday evening, she's on Fox News talking to her national audience. And it happens week after week. And it's a way of taking things like masks and weaponizing them and turning them actually into a political divide. And so the disconnect is that South Dakota voters routinely vote for things like putting a cap on payday loans, increasing the minimum wage, voting for medical and recreational marijuana, and at the same time electing legislators who oppose all of the same ideas. I think political identity has become such an important part of personal identity. People are Republicans in South Dakota just like they're Vikings fans. Right. And have you ever tried to have a conversation with a Minnesota Viking fan and try to convince them that the Packers are better? I mean, it's just an impossible conversation to have.
But the cultural backlash of decline is not the only culture here. Consider Smithfield. Yes, it looks Dickensian. But just keep driving another minute. Suddenly, you're in Falls Park, namesake of the city. This park used to be in dangerous disrepair, but it's been revitalized and is now an urban crown jewel. Keep moving, just another minute south from the park. Look on the right, those are new condominiums, just across from a new performing arts venue. Downtown Sioux Falls is flush with money, culture, and social life. It's also where our friends Ben and Nishat live. Nishat works with immigrants and refugees at the city's multicultural center, offering support and translators. Bin works in the city's schools. Nishat is from Bangladesh, and Bin's a dual Canadian-American citizen. Also, Nishat used to be a student of mine, and Bin's dad was my department chair. So yeah, it's a small world.
One thing we started, like when COVID hit in Smithfield, the outbreak happened, a lot of the hospitals' ERs were absolutely nuts. Like it went with us providing interpreters. Some of our interpreters were working 12-hour shifts at their ICUs, but it was very sad in a way to hear from when my interpreters will come to me and like tell the stories or share some things, because they're also human and they're seeing a lot more. And I think hearing stories for them is sometimes kind of experienced through their words. So that was really hard and disheartening, because they will tell stories of how the person is in the bed and the family is away, or not being able to say goodbye, or telling them, hey, please don't let me die. I have had like people tell me like it's just kind of repetitive. They just kind of scared that I have family to support. Please don't let me die. Kind of those kind of words. That was definitely one of like, yeah, eye-opening and very disheartening moments.
This is my cousin Sheila. Sheila's parents live here, but she and all of her siblings live in other parts of the country. So she's getting a reunion here too. Also, Sheila's a medical doctor.
Another thing that we really noticed during the pandemic is health disparities. Yeah, pandemic really just brought that to light. Totally different from anything else that I've been through, certainly. It's easy to get caught up in how my life changed too, but the main thing is I am so lucky. None of my family got severely ill with COVID, or even mildly ill with COVID. I guess I have, some relatives, some young adult nieces and nephews who got mildly ill, but that's about it, which is not the case of patients that I took care of.
I start hearing it in the TV around people, even some people, before I even see it here in the city. We start hearing it from different places. Oh, they're covered, people dying, and we're seeing in the news and all this stuff. Just make us scared that time. But I didn't know nothing about it because I don't have it. I don't know how it feels like. I got one of my friend. He's not even friend. He's a team lead for me. So we work together. We talk 24/7. Like I work. My shift is like from 6:30 to 6:30. I work 11 hours. So that guy, I was with him for 11 hours every day. And then I think he go check somebody have COVID, something like that. And the last day we was eating together. And then I still don't know nothing about that COVID. So the second day he don't show up at work. What happened? They say, oh, this guy, he with people have COVID, and those people they have COVID right now. That's why he have to stay home for like 14 days. And radar is getting serious, and they start calling people whoever close to this person. My team lead that time. So they called me. What the last time you with this guy? I say, on Friday we were together. Where? I say, where we together from the morning, like every half hour or 15 minutes we can talk. He will come and check on us. He's a team lead. He have to come be around. And the last time we eat together. This is the close time we together, me and him, we eating in the same table, we talking and all this stuff. The second day I didn't see him. They say, okay, Estella, you have to go home. I say, for what? They say, you may have COVID. I say, but I'm sure 100% I don't have it. They say, no, your team lead, he with people have COVID, maybe he take it from that people and he don't know that he have it, and maybe he give it to you, so we send him home, so you have to go home. After that I start feeling that I have a fever for the first day, after 3 days. So I got fever, the COVID is just, the feeling is just like the malaria, by the way, because malaria you have all your body pain, you feel your bone is pain, you feel pain everywhere, headache, fever, you throw up sometime. This is the feeling of malaria, so it's the same like the COVID, because a lot of people here, they don't have malaria, so it's really different for them. But that time, because I used to have a malaria back home, and the last time in 2013, I got malaria, and I know how. But if we put the COVID and the malaria, I can say just the COVID, the different thing, if it's going deep with the breathing and all this stuff, is really difficult.
My sister's husband is part of another vulnerable group, American Indians.
Also because on the Navajo Nation, a lot of people died. Actually, we have a family member that both her parents died the week of Christmas. A lot of people were dying that I knew. So I think when you have people you know that are dying, it makes it a lot more sad. Real, yeah, and sad.
We did have one legislator who died of COVID early on in that process, and then just a number of mysterious deaths that were never recorded. Right, so there was a lobbyist in Pierre who lived alone, who nobody did an autopsy after he passed away. The person I defeated in a primary in 2016 died as well, and nobody did an autopsy. And so there's a number of folks like that.
I started watching the time I was isolating inside my room. I have the TV. Sometimes I open the news, I see some places, people dying in the street. You know, all COVID, whatever country COVID. And you know, for me, the first time the COVID came, they say, oh, you see, this is the news of people. They say COVID is not affecting black people.
Oh my goodness.
That time.
Yeah.
They say it's not affecting black people. COVID is gonna be okay with black people. And I see a lot of black people die. You see? I say, okay, now what's going on? How does those people die? That mean I will die too, or what's gonna happen?
The governor's budget address is given in December every year, and I went and I wore a mask, and I'm fairly certain of who I was infected by, because that person also, tested positive a day afterwards, and it was somebody who wasn't reliably wearing a mask. So I came back from that. I tested positive on December 10th. I had no sense of smell. I was really tired, and I slept most of 2 weeks. I pretty much just slept 14 or 16 hours a day. I would wake up for a little while and maybe eat something, and then I would go back to sleep. The first few days I had fever and chills and just felt absolutely terrible, but I just really lost those couple of weeks.
Thanksgiving Day, our Thanksgiving last year was very interesting, because on Thanksgiving Day I had to go through a Vera testing site to get my COVID tested, because the day before Ben tested positive, 2 days before Ben tested positive, so Thanksgiving Day was not as expected as we planned it to be. Yeah. And here we are, him already being tested positive, and I already started showing symptoms. October, this November here was when every day we were having like over 2,000 cases.
Like 1,500-ish.
Right, something, yeah, every day there was like 1,500 to 2,000 cases in Sioux Falls. So it was about time, and as expected, he started showing symptoms first. He tested positive. The next day I woke up with 102 fever. And then I just called the hotline. They were like, come on in. It was Thanksgiving Day.
But I was hospitalized for about 4 days for something, non-COVID. But as you're out in the floor walking, I saw many, medical staff in the complete suits that you'd see like on the news going into rooms. And finally, one of my nurses said, yes, we have many COVID patients on this floor. And the day I was going to go home, I remember I woke up with a really piercing headache and a dry throat. And I told my nurse, and immediately they came in with orders for a test. So, which they did, and you're in your room until the results come back. And I was thinking, well, this would be something. And then later, after I did that did come back negative.
I was lucky too, not to lose a parent, a partner, or a sibling. But one thinks about close calls, and everybody lost something.
My son got married during the pandemic, and we had a bridal shower on Zoom, which is a weird way to do a bridal shower.
So the last time we saw my family would have been
December
Christmas 2019. So it's been about a year and a half at this point.
Last year, on Veto Day on March 30th, my ex-wife passed away. And so I have twin boys that are 30 years old. One is in California, one is in Missouri, and they weren't able to come home when their mother was in the hospital and their mother was in hospice. In fact, we haven't been able to have a memorial service, and we haven't been able to have her buried yet. And so part of the COVID crisis is just that. I would imagine that there are all sorts of families like mine that have loved ones that haven't been properly memorialized or buried.
But we have a lot of people that got it. Right. But people die, yeah. We have a lot of people in different states. In Minnesota, we have like maybe 10 people that with COVID from Sudan. And we have in Florida, we have in Nebraska, we have in Minnesota, a lot of people really die with COVID. I know them. I really know them. We're really close people. So, yeah.
I've gotten pretty annoyed a bit. Spending 2 years with these people is pretty cool, but it gets kind of annoying when you don't get to see new people and you just get to see the same faces pretty much all the time. I can say I've gotten kind of annoyed, but I still love them, but I think I'm pretty annoyed and I'm ready to get back to school.
Thanks for the truth, Owen.
Way to bring it, Owen. That's what documentaries are for. Before we left to return home, I went to see my grandparents.
The hospital asked, should the body be cast before I say goodbye, my star in the sky? Such a funny thought to wrap you up.
The rest of us are still here.
It all right, my dragonfly.
I'm so glad we made it.
Shall we look at the moon, my little loon? Why do you cry? Make the most of your life while it is rife, while it is light. While you do enough talk, my little hawk, why do you cry? Tell me, what did you learn from the Tillamook burn or the 4th of July?